Hello and welcome to today's Coppice Dev Stream, where we are going to be working through some accessibility on Coppice, continuing what we've done the past few days. I hope everyone is well today. Let me know in chat if you are up to anything interesting this Friday morning, afternoon, evening, whatever time it is where you are. And we'll jump straight in. Getting straight into the code. Or rather, I'd like to talk about a few things first, because I've actually been doing various bits of work improving my office. Those of you that have been following for a while will have seen that I have bought myself a new Mac. It hasn't arrived yet because it's a Mac Studio and those take a while to arrive. But I've been getting various other bits of my setup sorted. And one thing I've been doing is, ever since I moved into this place, I haven't actually painted any walls. So I've finally got my office painted, tidied up, set up how I want. So, this is my new office, or at least one side of it. You can see my desk with currently my iMac and my 4K monitor to the left and my old one to the right. You can also see on there a new keyboard, which I'll talk about in a bit. But this is currently my desk setup, what I'm looking at the moment. And on the opposite side is what is behind me, which is my set of cabinets with various bits and pieces on there, some for decoration, some for utility. You can also see the spare monitor that is going to go back on my desk when the studio arrives, because that's where my iMac is going to end up living as a server. And I just finished painting this green wall behind last night, and I'm pretty pleased with how this has all turned out. I need to get maybe some artwork on the wall, and I've still got a few other bits of my new setup to come, but I'm finally getting at least this one room fully finished, which I'm pretty happy with. And as I said, I've also got a new keyboard, so you will have to excuse the amount of typos because it is slightly different to the keyboard I had before. The keyboard I had before is a Microsoft Sculpt, and this is a keyboard that I've had for a long time, and I'm very happy with it. I mean, this particular keyboard I haven't had for a long time because one of the downsides of the Sculpt is that, let's say it breaks a lot. I think it's my second or third Sculpt, and anyone who has them knows that for all the wonderful things about them, they end up lasting like maybe 2-3 years before the keys invariably go. But the one problem with this new keyboard is this. This angle here is much steeper than this angle here. Now this does have a benefit where the Logitech keyboard, it is a full keyboard. It has your numpad, all of your home and page up, page down keys and everything there. So it manages to fit that in while actually being narrower than the Sculpt plus the external numpad, which is great because I was worried, oh, it will take up much more space, my mouse will have to move. It doesn't actually have to move. The problem is this distance about here is about 3 centimeters. This is about 1.5. So it curves a lot more. And because it is closer, my muscle memory for where the home keys are is wrong. So I am constantly going to put my right hand on the keyboard, and rather than being over JKL and semicolon, I'm over KL semicolon and quote, which means that I start typing and I will start, let's see, I'll start typing something like this, and rather than typing hello stream, how are you today, I will type and I sort of gradually get over to doing it correctly, but I always start incorrectly. And the worst thing is, because the curve is steeper and because things are shifted a bit, I keep hitting the delete key when I want to hit the enter key, because I'm shifted over a bit. So I've actually had to remap the delete key to be an enter key, and the insert key should be a delete key. I'm not sure why that isn't working. What event is that firing? What event is that firing? That key doesn't actually do anything. And that doesn't seem to do anything. It's curious. One of the keys is not actually doing anything. I'm not getting any event whatsoever, because if I use Caribbean Elements, which is how I've remapped the delete key, this is the delete key, but not get home, I get that. Oh, that's not set up correctly. Come on, Logitech Elements. Or option, whatever it is. You can go. I've never had a problem with Logitech options before. It always seems to work perfectly fine with my mouse, but for some reason it doesn't want to work correctly. Let's see if I copy. Yeah, so that works. Should be able to go brightness. Yep, so that all works. Okay, well, it's working now. So, other than the small flaws with the software for getting my customizations to the hotkeys, and the shape, which is just a muscle memory thing, is because it's so subtly different that my hands are taking a little time to adjust, I think. But other than that, pretty much everything else about this is so much better than the sculpt. But I'll bring this up so you can see it. So, in terms of what's better, first off, the function keys are the same sort of function keys as everything else, so you are not having keys that aren't scissor switches. They use a membrane on the sculpt and they get stuck a lot, which causes problems. You get wonderful feeling wrist rest. It doesn't feel quite as rough and abrasive. It feels much smoother. The size is good. It feels good quality. You have Mac software, which you don't get with the sculpt. I actually have this hooked up to the unifying receiver that came with my MX Master. So I have one receiver for both mouse and keyboard, so I do not need a wire trailing across my desk to my wireless keyboard for it to actually hook up, which if you have a wireless keyboard and you need a wire trailing across to, because the receiver is that bad, you have to blue tack it to the bottom of the keyboard, it's a bit of a problem. And the other cool thing are these buttons up here. And what they do is they let you switch between 3 devices. So I currently have one set up be the receiver that's plugged into my iMac, but 2 is plugged into my iPad. So I could just press the 2 button and it will connect via Bluetooth to my iPad on my desk, and I just can start typing. And then 3, when it gets set up, that will go to another receiver. That receiver will be plugged into the iMac, and 1 will be in my Mac Studio. But yeah, it is so far a pretty great keyboard. I still need to fully test drive it, see what it's like over an extended period of time, see if I can undo the muscle memory from years of using the Sculpt. But I'm pretty happy with it, and it's going to get a lot of use today as we work through some accessibility. So let's take a look. I was actually showing this off to someone else a while ago. So let's where are we? Ribbon it. that and that. Right, I need to bring up Jira. So how is everyone today? Hopefully you are having a good Friday, good end to your week. Right, so what accessibility do we have left to do? We have to make our link control completions accessible. And we have all of our image editor. Hey Sinister, it's going fairly well. How are things with you? We're just getting started working on some accessibility stuff after I've been there talking about my new keyboard and my newly painted office. Yeah, it's nice that it's the end of the week. It's been a long week. The painting turned out well. I was showing some photos of it. If I open these again. So this is the wall in front of me. I did it a nice sort of yellow green. And that I painted last weekend. And then the one I finished last night was this wall in a darker green behind me, which has all of my equipment on it. So it's just a nice two-tone green with white either side. So I have something nice and fairly dark behind me, which cuts out some of the glare. And then something nice and bright in front of me. So yeah, I just need to get the rest of my setup done and then get some artwork. I'm wondering, because you can see here, this pile of things. And also here is some foam board. This pile of things is this is the internals from my Mac Mini, my ancient Mac Mini. And what the idea is going to be is that these I'm going to mount onto the foam board here, and then get a frame and stick that somewhere. And I'm thinking maybe like somewhere here, and maybe center of the wall, or maybe possibly like above the desk. I don't quite know where I want to have that yet, but I need to build it first and work out how big it is and get a frame. So that is going to be a project this weekend that I'm probably going to work on. Oh yeah, the Lego modular buildings are a lot of fun. I've actually got quite a few additional spaces. I think I've got them all out. Yep, so I've got 3 additional spaces. So this one is going to get Lego in, this one is, and then down here at the bottom. And then I'm running out of space for Lego again. But they're a lot of fun to build, and it's just nice to have them on display in my office where I can look at them. So also gives me something nice to have behind me when I'm on camera in meetings and stuff. It's a lot nicer than what I had in my old office, which was a very uneven wall with like a cheap shelf and a whiteboard that I had to keep cleaning every time I had meetings because I can't have client information up on there. But yeah, I'm very close to getting this office fully done. Last night I finally ordered the last components of my new setup. So a bunch of SSDs and some cables, and once that's here, it's literally just waiting for the Mac Pro, not Mac Pro, Mac Studio to arrive, which I'm less than 60 days now, according to the deliveries app. So hopefully that will arrive soon. Oh yeah, the modular building sets are some of the best ones Lego puts out, and conveniently, the IKEA Kallax is just has enough room to fit them in, so it's a great display shelf for them. Right, so we have Coppice open. And if we open our sample document, let's take a look at image page. So what we need, cropping we've made accessible. So we need to make it accessible for hotspots. So I think the first thing we need to do is when the user gets, just turn on voiceover.
Voiceover on Coppice. Vertical splitter. Image. You are currently on an image. No visible title to interact. Rectangle hotspot. Oval hotspot. Polygon hotspot. Select oval image. You are currently on an image.
Right, so what we want to have happen is we actually want the image not to be we want the image not to be visible. We instead want the hotspot view be visible. And when the user gets there, it will say hotspot view contains X hotspots. And then you should be able to navigate through the hotspots, interact with them. When you're interacting with the hotspots, it should probably say what type of hotspot is. It should probably say roughly where it is. Not sure whether VoiceOver can do that for you. What we'll focus on for this release is making sure that you can actually do it, because part of the problem is Coppice is fundamentally a visual app, so focusing purely on accessibility for those who are completely blind is probably not going to be... It's going to be a challenge. It's something that I would like to do, but it's something that is going to be a challenge. However, VoiceOver is not, and the accessibility APIs themselves are not only used by people who are blind. They're used by people with all sorts of disabilities. And for people with motor disabilities, they want to be able to actually move these things around. People who just may be hard of seeing, where they can sort of see where things are, but they have trouble like moving the cursor to a specific point or something like that. So we'll get it to the point where it can be actually interacted with, but there are going to be improvements, and I think that will be something that I will look at when I'm probably going to get some... There's some people I know who do a podcast. I haven't spoken to them in a while, but I would probably ask them if they want to do some user testing and give some feedback back, because it would be nice to, like I've said before, get some actual voiceover users before I go too far into the, oh, let's go beyond the basics. Get some people who actually use voiceover and get them to say how would they want it to work, and then implement that. Because like I say, making it so that it can be used via voiceover is great, but getting it so it gives the information, I mean, that's the key thing, is that making it interactable is fine. Giving enough information so that it is actually a useful app is great. Because saying, oh, there's 3 hotspots, great. What's that going to do? But saying that there are 3 hotspots, one is in this place, one is in another place, that makes a lot more sense. For the auto hotspots, it would be very useful to have the auto hotspots and have them with VoiceOver read out the text that is under them. But having the hotspot read out where it links to would actually be a great way to distinguish. So I think what we will do, we've got selecting hotspots, we've got invoking hotspots, editing hotspots, and creating. So creating's the hard bit, because that is a non-standard thing. Our editing is going to work just like our cropping, where if I enable voiceover, for anyone who didn't see this last stream, we go in and you can select these, and if I select, say, the right handle and I interact with it, I can crop down, I can go out, and in fact, let's go to the top left.
top right handle, left handle, right bottom left handle, in bottom left handle. You are currently on a handle inside a scroll area.
Interesting.
Voiceover.
Also moving the wrong way. So I will have to figure out what's going on there, but we can do that later once we get stuff implemented. But you can see that with voiceover, without using the mouse, we can actually crop, which is great. So we can do this. Ooh. That's a bit more serious bug that we'll have to look into. Why on earth is that hotspot appearing? Okay, so that one appears. There. Okay, polygon hotspots are not working. So we'll look into that first. But the idea is that similarly, you'll be able to get to the handles and be able to move around with those to actually change things around. So that's easy, but for the creation, we don't really have anything. We've got to start using like custom actions and stuff like that. So we will get into that, but first, let's figure out why on earth polygon hotspots are not appearing. But attention. Okay, that is going to be annoying. I had to do there we go. That is now scrolling the correct. Okay. Get your hotspots, we append it. Then has changed. Right. So if I switch to Coppice, another polygon, and I have a new trick. I can go there. Okay, so that is there. So if I continue, I disable breakpoints using my Stream Deck. Click there, click there, click there, click there, and then I'm going to click on here. But I'm enabling what with my Stream Deck so that when I click, okay, has changed. Current hotspots. Event. Step over. Has changed is false. But Okay, so we're not getting the up event. So current drag state. Right. So if you click on the last one, then obviously the initial points aren't going to be equal to self points. Right. So what we need. Want to return. Oh. Right, so build and run this. This should hopefully now work. Go there. Huh? Okay, doesn't work. Not good. Mission. Ah, so that is setting the drag state to nil. Okay. Let's build and run. Go over test again. Polygon. Okay, something broken there. Really broke. Oh no, what am I doing? I'm just switching that. That's what I want to switch. Okay, so the polygon appears, but adding so. Want mode dot mode not equal is equal creating because we don't want to be able to add anything when we are in complete. Alright, let's give this a try. Nope, it's still adding that extra point. Double click should work. Click. Oh yes. Should be getting there on a double click. One, two, four. 2, 3, 4. Double click. Go there. Have interesting. Our first 2 points. I wonder if we're initializing with a point. Yeah, so we initialize with a but then we do the down event. What if got rid of that? delete that, and then we're going to do that. Oh, ew. Right. Okay. False. Then we can midpoint. That should work, because then we shouldn't get duplicate points ever. Oh yeah. Okay. Oh, we'll do that. Yet again. One. No. Pressing it. Now we're going to switch to polygon mode first. Click, 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 click. There we go. Click, 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 click. Okay. Yeah, they're both there. Okay, sweet. We got that fixed. Let's commit that. So now that is fixed, we can move on to our next thing, which is our accessibility stuff, which we wanted to work on in the first place. So, selecting hotspots. So to do this, we need to make our hotspot view accessible. We need it to read out how many hotspots there are, and we need you to be able to go through those hotspots. So it's going to return some accessibility elements that represent the hotspots. Obviously, just as soon as this happens, my brain hits that mid-afternoon sort of crash where it doesn't want to actually think. Like I know what I need to do, but the brain does not want to engage. The hamster's there, but it's not in the wheel. Yeah, I think a stretch help. I don't know why my brain sort of crashes like this. Well, I do sort of know why. I haven't been for a walk today. Because I've been that busy doing cleaning and painting and stuff in the office and getting that all sorted. I didn't have time to go for a walk before the stream. So that normally gives me enough energy to make it through the rest of the afternoon, but my brain has decided, nope, if you don't get any exercise, then I don't get to do much today. Right, so if we go to our Magenta hotspot view, what we'll probably do is spend a bit of time just getting, we can get the hotspots visible, the voiceover, then we'll probably take a break. So I think what we need to do here create our act. And hit coder. And in both cases, we want to set up the accessibilities. So good news is my right hand is starting to get more accustomed to where it needs to go for the home key. Downside is it's not getting used to where it needs to go for the arrow keys on this new keyboard, because the difference is, if I bring up a picture of the sculpt, so the arrow keys, if you think of a standard keyboard, you've got your main bit of keyboard, then you've got the column where you've got your arrow keys at the bottom and your insert, delete, home and stuff at the top, and then you got your numpad. So that is what the Logitech is. So it's a standard keyboard. Problem is, I have been used to this for a very long time, where the up arrow, it's basically all shifted one key along with the arrows. So the up arrow is next to the shift key, the left arrow is just below the shift key. So I'm going to reach stuff and like I'm going to press down and hitting left. I'm going to press up and hitting nothing. I'm going to press left arrow but hitting the control. And right is down. So it's like I'm hitting just, it's like a similar issue to the home key, where if I have my hand where it naturally wants to go on the home key, which is technically one character to the right of where it should be, then I can hit just fine. But when I get my hand on the actual home key, I need to stretch, just like move it just that little bit more than I normally would, and it's all muscle memory, and it's thing of like, I've had the natural ergonomic since 2008, and then I got one of these. Ooh, I forgot. Oh. 2014. So I've been using a Sculpt for 8 years. And when you use a keyboard of a particular type for 8 years, you get very accustomed to it exactly where everything is. So when things change ever so slightly, I mean, I have the same problem when I go to a regular straight keyboard, but there seems to be enough of a disconnect there, enough of a this is a different keyboard that the muscle memory is it's like a separate muscle memory. Going from one curved keyboard to another curved keyboard, it's like it's reusing that existing muscle memory. So it's basically having to relearn how to type again. And it's just that annoying thing of, like, I can touch type just fine on it. I just need to get my hands in the correct position. When it's just the bits where you're moving around and recentering yourself, that is the muscle memory that I need to redo. Everything else works fine. I've also been going through and on my Stream Deck getting new shortcuts and stuff set up on there. So all of my stuff for streaming is the same, but I can show. So all my stuff for streaming is basically the same, except I've made all this stuff on the left-hand side. It's now a series of multi-action things. So if I select that, this switch is seen, but also activates the mic. So whenever I go back to the screen we're on now, the mic always activates. For Be Right Back, it always mutes the mic and sets me to sleep thing. Could do with is a timeout option. Right. Let's get that sorted. Then we go. I now have the next code one. So I have GitHub, which because I contract work use GitHub a lot, I have a bunch of standard GitHub URL stuff. But I have the Xcode plugin, which lets me turn on and off breakpoints. Also pause and switch to the view debugger. I have one set up to do the interface builder sidebar, but I also have ones such as if I tap edit scheme, bring up the scheme. If I want to view callers, I can just tap callers. That is also a derived data shortcut. So if I tap on that, it takes a little while for some reason, but it finds my derived data. And that is actually using this show derived data here, which if I go here, this is running, where does it work? M3, it's called extra. Called extra. Here we are. Show drive data. So this is a script that I wrote ages ago, where it basically gets the current Xcode project path, goes in and looks for the workspace path inside, and from that it is able to extract the workspace name, go to derived data, and basically it searches through all of the derived data looking for one that has the workspace path that matches it. So this was before Apple had, for example, I think there's a show build folder now or something, or you could go to the organizer. But this was way before. I mean, is there a created date on this? Yeah, this was created in 2011. So this is probably not that long after derived data existed, probably like Xcode 4 or 5. But it's just a script that goes through. I may consider rewriting it in Swift at some point, but I believe I have it on GitHub. I've just got to be very careful with GitHub because I have client stuff on there. But if I go to my just what do I have up here? I have my Swift format, key loop debugging, sources table view cells, some undo stuff, single file promise provider, calculating cell size. I don't actually have GitHub or repo settings, Jacob. Those would actually be quite useful to have. In fact, I might get one of those set up once I've found where this is. Right, where are we? Why do I have stuff like that up? Oh, yeah, that was a letter I posted to MPs years ago on an encryption because politicians gonna politician when it comes to encryption. 10 years, strength code. Here we are, show derived data. I will stick that in chat if anyone is interested. There we go. So that is literally all I have done is I have that script and then I have set up a behavior that basically runs that. I want to do that. I wanted edit behaviors. So in Xcode, just go to preferences, go to behaviors, add a new behavior, and then at the bottom you can have them just run any script. And any scripts that you have access to all of the environment variables and stuff for the project. So you literally just create one, set it that, and all I've done is given it a shortcut so that I can have a shortcut in my Stream Deck that actually it just executes that. I've also set one up because I have a playground where I do all sorts of stuff. I've just got one set up that it will automatically create a playground. Well, not create a playground, open an already existing playground. So that's just a useful one to have. What I'm going to do is stream elements. And chat command, custom. And GitHub. Pause. have that for my own, and then I have that for M cubed. Now I haven't really posted a lot to these in a while. I haven't posted a lot to GitHub, but I'm hoping to at some point do some stuff, but let's give that a try. So now if I do there you go. GitHub command. So that gives you pointers to my personal GitHub and one for M cubed. But like I said, I think for M cubed, nesting split views was in 2020. My changes to Sparkle, because I've that's probably the last big thing that I've done. Was I did some commits to the Sparkle updater, some privacy focused ones, which I actually use in Coppice, and then in loose code. What did I actually change in loose code last year? Oh, my text view list example for implementing lists in Coppice. But yeah, I think some of those were Coppice blog. Probably September. It later. That's the stuff about list. If it was. Here we are. The Sparkle system profile improvements. So, when you're using Sparkle, it actually sends you a bunch of. Like, if you opt into using the system stats, it sends you a bunch of stuff, such as the app name and version, CPU type and subtype, how many cores there are, the frequency, whether it's 64-bit or not, how much RAM is in the system, the Mac model, OS version, and the system language. And that's a lot of information. And it can send an awful lot of it. So what I added was the ability to specify which of these keys do you actually want, and have a option to access those as a developer. So Coppice actually has this UI here, where you can go in and you can see exactly what is sent. You can see raw data. In fact, I'll show you it in Coppice in a second. But you can see all these things. I also fixed a bug where it wasn't reporting the correct CPU type for Apple Silicon. But if I show this in Coppice, because I want to do things in as privacy conscious a way as possible. So you can say, privacy, send anonymous system info. This information helps us know which hardware and OS versions we should support. This information is kept anonymously. So I don't really have any way to determine what it is. In theory, if I look through the logs, I could see that it comes from a certain IP address, but like, this is the only information that is sent. I can see that a certain IP address has a certain OS version, CPU type, model, language, app version, and bundle ID. So it's like, well, I know you're using Coppice version whatever. I know you have a certain language. You can get that from the user agent. I can get OS versions from the user agent. So most of this you could get anywhere just visiting a website. But I've limited this all down. Each of these tells you exactly where. So it's like, in order to develop software, we need to know some information. If you opt in, Coppice will send us details about once a week. We like to be transparent to what we collect. So the table below shows what will be sent to our server. You can switch between the raw data that is being sent to our server and the more human readable version using the tabs below. Clicking the question mark will give you more information about why we collect that particular piece of data and how it helps us. And this reflects the data of the current system. If it changes between now and when we next collect your system, that updated data will be sent, and it shows when it was last sent. So you can switch to human readable. So human readable A7 is Intel, an iMac 19.1 is an iMac 27-inch 2019. Could probably do with actually updating that so that we have the latest things. The English and the app version, we probably want to update those, but you can also click on these. And why do we need to know the OS version? It helps us know what versions to support going forward. Why do we need to know the CPU type? It lets us know what processor architectures to support over time. Why do we need to know the Mac model? It lets us know, knowing the model of Mac our users run Coppice on lets us know what models and form factors to optimize. Because from this we can infer things such as screen sizes and whether people are mostly on laptops or mostly on desktops and so on. The language helps with knowing localizations. App version lets us know how quickly people update, and this is just, it knows that it is Coppice sending the data. So this is about as transparent as Sparkle is in any app. Like, I am limiting the data. I do not need to know what is your CPU frequency. I don't need to know how many CPU cores you have. I don't need to know how much RAM you have. So I updated Sparkle to make sure that I don't send those things. And the bits I do send, I give you both the raw data so you can see exactly what is being sent, a human readable form so you can understand what the data means, and explanations for everything I sent. So this may be overkill, but when it comes to stuff like this, when it comes to like privacy sides of things, I thought, well, why not be overkill? It wasn't that hard to add the stuff in. Users can opt out. Most users seem to opt out of it, but it makes it so it's transparent. Rather than having something that appears once and maybe you check it and maybe you'll uncheck it later, give you full disclosure about what it is, why I want it. And this is the sort of thing that you really need to do anyway with GDPR for certain things. For this, it isn't quite as necessary for analytics stuff, saying exactly why everything is there because it's anonymous. But I like to go above and beyond on this. And I ended up open sourcing that, and that is now in Sparkle 2. If you're using Sparkle 2, you have access to all this to do it yourself in your own apps. So it's always nice to give back and contribute to various open source projects. I should probably at some point donate to Sparkle because it's possibly the most essential open source project on the Mac, because it's like pretty much every app uses it. I mean, if I look at the apps on my thing, let's see. Mailplane probably uses it. Wouldn't surprise me if Affinity Design was using it. Evernote was using it. I think Omni have their own things. Scrivener uses it. I think Nova uses a modified version. Querius. I mean, even I believe even OBS is using Sparkle. So even stuff that's like cross-platform stuff on the Mac, they just use Sparkle because it works so well and it handles so much stuff for you. So yeah, if you ever need access to GitHub, you have it. I mean, I do have other commands. Let's see, Coppice tells you about Coppice. Twitter tells you the Twitter things, and they also have YouTube for when you want to watch VODs, which go up roughly about a week after the streams. Not sure what other commands I've put in there. Oh, I've closed stream elements. I think those are all the commands. I think the only other one I did was a shout out command because there wasn't one by default. Okay. So for accessibility, we want private phone setup accessibility. For init methods, we're going to set up accessibility. Accessibility, go to the bottom. And we want to self dot set accessibility enabled true. Now the thing is, I'm not technically using the latest accessibility APIs here, so you can't actually do accessibility. Is accessibility enabled? Let's give them a try and see if they've improved enough. So turn that accessibility role. Now let's do it this way. It's a bit better because technically you can just set a protocol and it handles a lot of stuff for you. But so self dot set accessibility role. We're just going to set it to group. Then self dot set want accessibility title and then be self dot set accessibility value. Roll this. I think it's title. Try label. Uh, Right. Let's see. In fact, let's add both a title and a label and see which one it actually. Alright. Build and run. One useful thing about this new keyboard is it has some spare keys at the top above the numpad that it assigns to various things. Like one of them was set to like lock the system. I've changed that to voiceover, so I now have a one key thing to turn voiceover on.
Vertical splitter image. You are current vertical splitter. Inspectors vert image. No visible title vertical splitter. Inspect vert image.
Oh
You
yeah.
are currently on an image. To begin interacting with the contents of this image, press sidebar vertical image. Rectangle hotspot image. You are currently on an image. To begin interacting with the contents of the voiceover off.
Not actually. Voiceover on the Mac is so hard to work with. Do you mean hard to use or hard to make your app accessible? Yeah, accessibility is one of those things of... It's very simple to do the simple stuff. It's like you can get 90% of the way, like make your app like 90% accessible in like an hour or two. The problem is that last 10% takes forever, and I'm currently on that last 10% stuff. Let's just make sure that is... Okay, so it's been called. So let's open accessibility inspector. World famous, completely broken accessibility inspector. And we should... Right, so we've got an image. A bar. Why is this not being added to the accessibility hierarchy? Image as no accessibility. Set the accessibility description. So it's in the view hierarchy. Why is it not being added to the accessibility? Okay. Curious. Stick a breakpoint there. So, what things did you actually struggle most with adding accessibility to the app? Okay, so accessibility is enabled. I wonder if I need to make the editor in. Weird stuff like changing your strings to get voiceover to say the correct thing. Yeah, voiceover is... I mean, voiceover is fantastic, and people who use it to do amazing things, but it's kind of tricky if you're not used to it, and getting some things to work right is very difficult. Like, just labeling stuff is perfectly fine, but when you get onto the more advanced stuff, if you don't know what you're doing, it's kind of hard, especially on the Mac when there's been like 3 different ways to do it. I think the way I'm doing it is the 2nd generation of accessibility stuff, where there's a 3rd generation where you can just add protocol conformers and it should work. Let's see if this works.
Voiceover on more out of vertical image. You are vertical split image. No visible title to inspect vert image. You are currently on an image. To begin interacting with the contents of this image, press Control. Voiceover off. Voice image. Vertical split image. No visible title to interact. Inspector. Vert image. You are currently on an image. To begin interacting with the contents. Voiceover off.
Sorry, so I don't know why this is not working. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a break, because we're about halfway through the stream and I need some more tea to work through this. And this should be working, so I'm going to try and ponder what is going wrong over the break and see if I can figure out how to get it working. Because I mean, I'm setting it there, I'm setting it through. 1 sec. That all work? Why does that work? But it doesn't. Why is it going to an image view but nothing else? Okay. Well, I'll take a quick break and we'll get this sorted out when I get back. Because this is something where I'm doing the same things I do everywhere, but something else is going wrong. So we are going to be going on a bug hunt to figure out why on earth VoiceOver is being silly. So I will see you all in about 5 minutes or so. Okay, I am back. So let's switch over back to the code view. Try and work out what on earth is going wrong. So the thing we need to work out is why on earth do we get right, if we make it accessibility enabled, we set a group role on it, it should appear up in the accessibility hierarchy. And the thing is, it is actually creating it, it's creating all the accessibility stuff and it's setting its parent, but it is not setting the children the split view. We go to the split view. Yeah, so you can just see it through the green. We have the sidebar, we have a splitter, we have an image cell, we have a splitter, and then we have the inspectors. The question is, why? Why do we have just the image view showing up? If I go to right, so we're not doing anything there for accessibility. The document view controller we're not. What about the window? Nothing there either. Got canvas, editor, view controller, so there's nothing there being. Have a look. So you have the image editor hotspots and the page side editor. Again, does it have any accessibility? Accessibility, not accessibility out. Yo, this is going to be the bit that I can't. Object. Oh. Okay, so it's setting that as why? because I'm setting it. Right, let's go through some more of these and see if we can work out what on earth is going wrong here. So we're setting it to be true. Then we get to there, so you know, self dot hotspot view dot true. And it's true there. Okay. So click there, we get to here. It's true. Why is it claiming that it's false and it's not an accessibility element? Right. Build and run. So, self. They're both the same. Hotspot view. Use the same address. That's what the accessibility. We set it to true. We set the role. I'm really confused by this. Well, this is an accessibility element, but this isn't. I am genuinely stumped here. Yeah, so let's set it accessibility element. So if we then go back on accessibility element, yeah, it is an accessibility element now. So then how for
Voiceover on Coppice. Sample document Coppice vertical splitter image. Hotspot editor label group. You are currently on a group.
okay.
To interact with items in this group, press image. You are currently on an image. Voiceover off.
The question is, why is it not registering? It is an accessibility. I mean, we set it up, initialize. Let's just try something. Do it like that. Just see if running it at the end of the run loop works. Because if it is, that means that we know something is disconnecting it.
Out. Verticals inspect image. Vertical splitter.
Okay, so
You
it
are
isn't
currently on a
that.
vertical voiceover off.
Alright, this.
Image. Vertical splitter.
Oh.
Vertical inspect. Vertical image. Vertical splitter. You are currently on a vertical splitter. To start in.
I wonder. Get this public. Go up here. I wonder if the frame is not being set at that point and that's causing it.
Vertical split image. Vertical
Oh.
splitter image. You are currently on an image. Voiceover off.
Thing is, I was expecting this to be the easy part. All I'm doing is making the view accessible via the accessibility APIs. Of dot ability all this is set. It's the same object. When it hides, at this point accessibility enabled is true. When it hides the view controller, accessibility enabled is true. But when you query it in the view debugger, accessibility enabled. Let's see. Let's go there and see what happens. So, accessibility is enabled on the hotspot view. There. That's subviews. Or the image view, placeholder view, and the image editor hotspot view. Children is just at second. That shouldn't just be an NS. Oh wait, no. There's an option on this view. They're the same. Want to know what I've been doing wrong? I think I figured this out. Now, is accessibility enabled? Is accessibility element? When I get down the road to making this stream and having my little character be 3D, one of the emotes is almost certainly going to be a facepalm. This is programming in a nutshell. This is spending hours trying to work out why something isn't working, thinking, hey, it should work, everything's fine, everything works perfectly fine. It should be exactly how all this other stuff, I mean, it's pretty much the same code, there must be something, and it's a few characters. And you find those few characters. And sometimes, when it's someone else's bug that they've introduced, or it's something really difficult that's been plaguing you for ages, it's like the greatest sense of euphoria that you have spent your day and only managed to write like 5 characters. And sometimes it's like this, where you're just like, why do I even bother programming? Okay. If I build and run that, we should all be good. Right. Voiceover on. There we go, folks. If you write your code right, it works right. If you write your code wrong, it doesn't work. Okay. So now we've wasted most of the stream on a typo. Let's actually get the rest of this working. Oh yeah. The whole reason for doing all this was to work out...
Sample document Coppice doc window. Hotspot editor label group.
So it's just using the label.
Voiceover off.
Not using the title, it's using the label. So hotspot editor. B. I suppose it will say the group how many items it contains when we add them. So ooh. Right. So let's create we're gonna have our Swift file. Page editor, hotspot, ability. The class hot ability element B and these are probably gonna have to be in an object. Let hotspot be hotspot. It with hotspot. Right, so next up, oops, after hotspot, hotspot, what we want, hotspot. A hotspot ability element. To that. Alright. Layer tension did change. Self dot a hotspot ability element. Children self dot got visible hotspots. Got map, and we want image editor hotspot ability element with the hotspot, which is just going to be $0 in there. Okay, then what we want to do in here is accessibility. Build fail. Oh yeah, this accessibility element is a class, so not a protocol. Right.
Image. Hotspot editor. Group. You are currently on a group. To interact with items in this in hotspot editor. Vertical split. Hotspot editor. Group. You are currently on a group. To interact with items in this group, press Ctrl X code. Coppice. Cap. Voiceover off.
Oh. Okay, so we have them. Dot map. L0 dot is ability element. Also going to conform to the accessibility protocol. Don't have an accessibility. Have an accessibility role. No. Okay, so what we're going to do is protocol. Right. I think in the case where the hotspot is not editable. We want it to be a link, don't we? So self.set accessibility role to be link. Self.set accessibility frame be dot path for scale. We'll just do 1 for now. Dot bound. Okay. Give that a go. Okay, so we don't like that. Oh, because it's all super. Right.
Vertical split image. Hotspot editor group. You are currently on a group in hotspot editor group.
Okay, 3 items.
Link. 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 You link. 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 You are currently on a link.
Okay,
inside
so
a
we're
group. To click
not
this
getting
link,
our
press Control, Option, space. Voiceover off.
thing correct, but oh, that's a fair point. Of course, there's no description. Green coordinate. Right. So if I go to the crop view, conveniently that is there. Okay. About how to do this, because not used yet them. Yeah. Okay, that's the very thing. Now we need to pass in the view. Elf. And voiceover.
Voiceover on out of sight vertical image. You are currently on an image. To begin interact hotspot in hotspot link.
Hey!
Link. Link. You are currently on a link. Link. You are currently on an Xcode. Coppice, capital I-M. Voiceover off.
Right, so for the hotspot, and for the URL, but to do this well, we need more than the hotspot. We need access to the page that hotspot represents, because we want the title. If it's an external link, we just want it to read out where it's linking to, like the URL. But if it's an internal link, we don't want it to read out the URL, we want it to read out the page title. So hotspot access. Problem is we then need access to it in the view. Do have access to it here, so I wonder if we want to make responsibility, because this ultimately is what Cole's layout engine did change. I think this is fundamentally something that we want to put in the view controller. Yeah. Yeah, we want to set this in the view controller. So if we go here, we do not want to do this. Get rid of in the view controller, but okay, maybe it should actually be on the layout engine and we can pass the information in. Because we need to actually no, we do want it to, it does make sense and it is okay being different in both. In this case we want them to be links, in the other case we want them to be editable, so how the accessibility works in both sides is going to be different, so we will do it. That the core thing is going to be the same. We need to update it when the layout changes, and we want to display so that you can select those things, but then it's going to be different in edit mode because they're not going to be links, they're going to be hotspots which you can start editing and so on. So, function. Private function. Update. Hotspot. Ability. Elements. What we're going to do is let elements dot layout engine dot the hotspots dot map is going to be image editor could be the hotspot self dot hotspot view and probably the model controller. Model controller. Then what we'll do is if let URL equal hotspot dot l let page link oh no, if the URL is there, I want to do that, else self.set accessibility value empty. If let page link with URL, when it's page link, else self.accessibility set value just the URL. Self dot if let we want to get the page link, and we also want let page equal model controller page collection dot object with ID page link dot nation else self dot set value page self dot set accessibility value page dot title. So when we build and run this and we go in, these should all say empty. in theory. So we'll go in.
Hotspot vertical splitter. Hotspot editor in hotspot editor. Vertical splitter. Inspector. Hotspot editor in hotspot editor. In hotspot editor. Empty group.
Is empty.
Xcode.
Oh, yes, I know why.
Voiceover off.
That age-old programming problem, where you write the code and you don't call it. You have to wonder if people like Alan Turing, when they were creating the first computers, whether they had this case where, I've written this code, but it doesn't seem to work correctly. Did you actually execute the code? Oh.
Image. Hotspot editor. In hotspot editor group. Content is empty. You are currently in a group.
Empty.
To Xcode. Coppice. Capital I M.
Oh, because I haven't soft.set.
You are currently on a text right curly bracket.
Hotspot.view.set
hotspot view. Period.
Children.
Placeholder selection replaced. N run. Build succeeded. System dialog. You are current new page button. Image page.
Right.
Vertical image. Hotspot in hotspot.
There we go. Get 3 items.
Link. You are currently on a link inside a group. To click this link, press Control Option Space.
Voiceover off. Let's go here. Move this one to text pages. This one's going to go HTTPS. Coppice. First one's going to say Okay, let's turn back on.
In hotspot editor group. Content out of hotspot editor.
Oh, because wrong.
You are currently in a window in toolbar. Vertical image. Hotspot in hotspot editor group. 3 items. Link. You are currently on link. You are
okay.
Voiceover off.
So let's then. Right.
Voiceover in hotspot editor group. 3 items. Link. Empty. Link. https://coppice.com. Link. Text pages. You are currently on a link inside.
Okay.
To click this link, press link. Link. Empty. You are currently on a link inside a group. To click the link. Link. Empty. You are currently on a link inside a group. Link. Coppice. Cultivate your thoughts. Web content. You are currently on web content. To enter the web area, press Control. Coppice. Link. Text page.
Well, that's surprising. I haven't implemented actually invoking the link. I wonder if that is simulating a mouse down event then, when that happens. It just simulates a click right in the middle, because that has just worked.
Window. 0. Voiceover off.
Okay. That worked better than I was expecting. I mean, we've literally just got invoking hotspots for free. Okay, so selecting hotspots works, invoking hotspots works. I think we will get that committed. What I'm actually tempted to do is I'm tempted to end the stream early today rather than start on editing hotspots, because that's going to take a while. But possibly stream over the weekend and do another 2-3 hour stream probably on Sunday. And do some more work on this, because we've fallen a bit behind, and I think finishing a bit early today but doing some extra streaming over the weekend would help a lot. So this fixes, if I go to Jira, Coppice 403. Let's see. What's a book? Up. And yeah, so I think we'll call stream there, because there's no point starting when we're this close to the end of the stream on something as involved as editing. So what we'll do is take a look and see who's live. Ooh. This is a unique opportunity. Someone who's live is Pirate Software, who is actually one of the people who really inspired me to start this stream. And I've never had the opportunity to raid them. So I think we should go over and say hello to Pirate Software. And see how they are doing. So if I set up a raid, right, so I want to thank you all for coming today. It's been an adventure in classic programming where you spend ages trying to fix a bug and you just look and look and look and you get absolutely nowhere, and then you find that it's a spelling mistake or a missing character or something. But hopefully it's been enjoyable. Hopefully you've managed to get so far out of it, and hopefully you have a wonderful rest of your Friday and a wonderful weekend. As I say, hopefully we will meet again on Sunday, probably around 2 PM UK time. And we'll continue this then. But until then, as always, happy coding.